Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson today and gives us more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand the events that are happening on the earth so that we may soon get a much clearer understanding of these events that are soon to come over the earth. Most High has been leading me into more studying and giving me even more clarification. And we are coming to a crossroads in this understanding now. We are coming to a time where people are going to have to make a choice, or the choice is going to be made for them. The Father is now showing us he's causing a division even within the Hebrew Israelite awakening. We already know about how the Gentiles are pretty much just on the sidelines. They're not leading anything as far as this truth is concerned anymore. Most High has pretty much exposed the fact that the Gentile churches have been ran by the priesthood of Mahan. And they can't just trot out these pastors and these priests anymore and have us listen to them. So they're making their last ditch effort to keep control over as many people as they possibly can. But this has been prophesied to happen in the future. I'm going to show you where it talks about how, as the true people that the Most High has chosen to lead the nation, as more and more people begin to listen to them, that's just a sign that he's about to remove the ones that he has not chosen. He's going to remove their understanding. He's going to remove them from their positions. He's going to remove them from he's going to remove all the dainties and things that they have been able to enjoy while they've been working with the enemy. And we're going to be getting into a few scriptures today, and you're going to realize why many scriptures have been hidden. I've always read many different books, and I want to get into a little bit of Odes of Solomon and the Psalms of Solomon. And you're going to see what has happened is we were given the Southern Kingdom's records with the Bible. I was reading these other books for a few years and taking notes and writing everything down. But not until the Most High revealed the Book of Mormon and then the sealed Book of Mormon. And some of these other books have now the puzzle pieces come together with much more clarity. I'm going to show you today just how just a couple of these books, along with the Book of Mormon, along with the scriptures of the Bible, will show you exactly where we are right now and why it was so important for them to pretty much hide all this information. Because as you bring up all these other books, you're going to see why they hid some here and some there, making it so difficult for us to be able to get the puzzle pieces first and then bring the puzzle pieces together. When you have people that are trying to keep you from even attaining any of the puzzle pieces, how is it possible for you ever to be able to put the puzzle pieces back together? And it's going to be abundantly clear who the Most High is using to expand our knowledge, and who the priests of Mahan are using to keep us away from all the puzzle pieces that are necessary to be obtained in order to complete the puzzle and the understanding. I was listening to the same brother I was talking about yesterday, and just some of the things that, is just pervasive in the entire Hebrew community. Talking about as anything that you say or they say about the Book of Mormon or the Book of Mormon can easily be said about the Bible. If they say that the Bible, I hear this quite often, that the Book of Mormon is tainted because of Joseph Smith, who was a Jesuit, and he was supposedly he was a demon and everything else. Well, who compiled the Bible? Was it not the actual Church of the Jesuits who took our records in 70 AD and took them back to Rome? Who were the ones that decided which books were good, which ones to keep out? It wasn't Hebrews that decided that. It would have been those same Jesuits that you're making the claims that infiltrated and tainted the Book of Mormon did exactly the same thing with the records of the Southern Kingdom. So they took, the Jesuits or the actual church took our records, and they're the ones that dictated which books were good, which ones they would release, and which ones they would hide. So anytime you use that kind of an argument as far as the Book of Mormon, that can easily be applied to the Bible. They talk about how, as the Europeans came over here and they conquered this land, and they acknowledged that the Israelites were here. So these Europeans came here, conquered the land, and took the records of the Northern Kingdom. Then they say that they took the records and they tainted them, muddied the waters. Correct? So if you're taking the Northern Kingdom's records and you're changing things in the records in order to muddy the waters, cannot exactly the same thing be said about the Bible. In 70 AD, the Romans came, destroyed Jerusalem, confiscated the records, took them back to Rome, and then in about 325 AD, they picked and chose what they wanted to choose, manipulated things, changed things, and then gave that book to the public. And they've been trotting that book around on all three parts in the lands of the Gentiles and the lands of the Hebrews that we had over there as well. And they brought that book over across the waters over here. They found the more pure records over here, and they confiscated those and continued to share their convoluted records. And now we have people that are supposedly in the Hebrew movement who are supporting the same Jesuits that they claimed distorted the Book of Mormon. Those same Jesuits were the ones who distorted the Southern Kingdom's records. And what's amazing is the fact that the records over here in the Americas foretold of the same of the thing that happened over there. They foretold of the records being of the Jews of the Southern Kingdom being confiscated and being manipulated. So the same criteria that you use for the Book of Mormon, apply that to the Bible, and you have exactly the same scenario, which is exactly what the Most High says is going to happen, because they take our records, not just the Southern Kingdom's records, they take the Northern Kingdom's records, and they manipulate them in order to push their own agenda until the end. That's why the Most High said there's going to be a group of books that are going to be spread to everyone, and those will be the ones that the Gentiles have manipulated. And then at the end, he would release other books that would then be used to expose the fact that these other nations, these Gentiles, have manipulated the books in order to give clarity and understanding. And right now at the end, we have people that look like us that are fighting to keep the integrity of books that have been manipulated by, what do they say? Demons and Jesuit priests, the priests of Mahan. So you must be very careful when people are saying things about one book, but then they don't take that same scrutiny and apply it to the books that they use. Remember now, when we grew up, what were we told in church? That the Bible was the inerrant Word of God. Who was the people that were saying that to us? The priests and the pastors of the priesthood of Mahan. I heard that so many times growing up, that the Bible was the inerrant Word of God. Well, now when you get into books like the Book of Mormon, they let you know that the book is not inerrant. It does have holes because it's been manipulated by the enemy. Let's read real quick about this prophecy that was said to happen here in 1 Nephi 13. And after they go forth by the hand of the 12 apostles of the Lamb from the Jews unto the Gentiles, thou seest the formation of that great and abominable church. So they got our records and they formed the church. It's following exactly the same, timeline that was established. 70 AD, then the church is established later on. Okay? Which is most abominable above all other churches. For behold, they have taken away from the gospel of the Lamb many parts which are plain and most precious, and also my covenants of the Most High have they taken away. And all this have they done that they might pervert the right ways of the Most High, that they might blind the eyes and harden the hearts of the children of men. Wherefore thou seest that after the book hath gone forth through the hands of the great and abominable church, that there are many plain and precious things taken away from the book, which is the book of the Lamb of the Most High. So what you have and what I have been given by this abominable church is an incomplete book. So now at the end, when you hear people saying that the Bible has not been manipulated, you have proof right here that says, yes, it has been manipulated. That's why the Most High waited till they got over here and these books came out in order, because at the end, he knew there's going to be people that are going to say, oh no, the Bible hasn't been tainted with. No, the Bible's, is that's what we have to go by. Everything has to go back and meet what's in the Bible. Everything has to go back with what's in the Bible. Well, the Book of Mormon lets us know that that's not true, because they manipulated that book as well. So now they're painting themselves into a corner, because yeah, this right here is written in the Book of Mormon. Even if you don't believe in the Book of Mormon, all you have to do is go back and look at history. Who were the people that took our records? The abominable church. Who was the one that decided at the Council of Nicaea which books were going to be used? The Council of Nicaea. Catholics. Do they have that authority? No. This tells you they're going to take all this information out and hide it. That's exactly what's happened. And verse 29. And after these plain and precious things were taken away, it goeth forth unto all the nations of the Gentiles. And after it goeth forth unto all the nations of the Gentiles, yea, even across the many waters, which thou hast seen with the Gentiles have gone forth out of captivity. Thou seest because of the many, not a few, the many plain and precious things which have been taken out of the book, which are plain unto the understanding of the children of men, according to the plainness which is in the Lamb of the Most High. Because of these things which are taken away out of the gospel of the Lamb, and exceedingly great many do stumble, yea, insomuch that Satan hath great power over them. Satan has great power because of all the information that has been hidden. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is what gave our people the power that we had. Once we lost our knowledge understanding, we lost our standing in the world. Once these guys got our knowledge understanding, their power in the world increased. That's what's going on right here. And now that the Most High is trying to, he's not trying to, he's moving, excuse me, to restore our knowledge understanding. They are putting roadblocks in our way. When we were enslaved, the roadblocks were, the Gentiles who forbade us to read. Once we got freed from that slavery, the roadblocks were the churches. They would pretty much not encourage us to read or to study, and then they would eventually, break things down for us because we didn't have the correct understanding. And they would use their people with their PhDs and their standing in the community in order to, and not encourage us to read. So there was that roadblock. Then the awakening began, where our people started to read the Bible and start to realize that this book here was talking about us. The Bible was talking about all of the suffering that we were going to go through. So then they went ahead and set up another roadblock, which is don't read anything else. This is good enough. This one book is all you need. And that roadblock is one of the last ones. And you're going to see how it is one of the last ones as we continue here. Because now the lines are being drawn. The Gentiles can't come out themselves and tell us now that this isn't our book. So now that last line of defense are the people who look like us, who are now set up to keep us from trying to attain more of our records in order to get a much better understanding. Now, check this out. Odes of Solomon. See, if you're one of the people who says that I can only read the Bible, or I have to read books that are referenced from the Bible, well, the Odes of Solomon aren't referenced in the Bible. Okay? The Psalms of Solomon, which you're also going to read, aren't referenced in the Bible. If I'm trying to hide information from you, I'm not going to put any of that information in the book that's going out worldwide. I'm going to put it in something that says, I don't know, pseudepigrapha. And then I'm going to tell you, oh, pseudo means fake, so don't read that. I've heard that from many people. So I'm like, as much as you study, you're going to let one word like pseudo now tell you that you can't read something. Your enemy, who's been hiding everything from you, names of, or titles of book pseudepigrapha, and you just look at the word pseudo and then you just don't read it because your enemy, who's lied to you about everything, says the title of this book is pseudo. See, now when you're doing things like that, that exposes who you're working for, because none of us are really that simple. Take a look here. This is the Odes of Solomon. It's in my Old Testament pseudepigrapha book. Let me see here. Right here. This is what's going on right here. Look right here. It says, and they imitate. Actually, hold on. Okay. Yeah, that's all right here. And they imitate the beloved and his bride. So they're going to imitate the Most High, his son, and he's going to have a fake people. That's exactly what they've done. Okay? And they imitate the beloved and his bride. And they cause the world to err and corrupt it. So because they've made up a fake people, a fake son, a fake power, they've corrupted the entire world, which is exactly what it said was going to happen in the Book of Mormon in 1 Nephi 13. And they invite many to the wedding feast and allow them to drink the wine of their intoxication. Now, see, this is important because this is why you have to read other books. We read the other book of Lamech and Cain, correct? You remember that now, when Lamech was trying to follow the Most High, and the Most High rejected him. So what did he do? He went in and started to worship Leviathan. Okay? That was to be expected. But what did he do? He invited the sons of Seth to come and worship with him in order to corrupt them as well. So see, this is why when you start reading these other books, you start bringing this information together, then it starts to make much more sense. So read that again. And they invite many to the wedding feast and allow them to drink the wine of their intoxication. So they brought in the seeds of Seth and they gave them that drink and made them drunken and made them fall away from their power. So now, continue. So they caused them to vomit up their wisdom and their knowledge and make them senseless. Okay? Then they abandoned them, and so they stumble about like mad and corrupted men. Since there is no understanding in them, neither do they seek it. That's exactly what they've done to us. They made us vomit up our knowledge and our wisdom, okay, by going and following them. We knew better, but once we went and followed the other nations, we vomited up our wisdom and our knowledge, and they made us senseless. They made us drunk. And then what did they do? They abandoned us. So that now we stumble about like mad and corrupted men. Now our people are lost because of what they've done, because we decided to go and follow the other nations. Is this not exactly what is happening? Just because someone put pseudepigrapha on the cover of this book, I guess now all this information that you're reading right here isn't true. And there's way more going on in here. I'm only reading a little bit of it. Now, also, when you read this again, and they invite many to the wedding feast and allow them to drink the wine of their intoxication. Okay. Now, let me see here. So they cause them to vomit up their wisdom and their knowledge. That also goes with these people who are saying only the Bible. Don't read anything else. Only the Bible. Now, when the Most High is trying to give us back our other records, these people are saying, no, no, don't read any other books. Don't read anything else. They're causing us to vomit up our wisdom and our knowledge. They're causing us to reject the knowledge and understanding, or the books that the Most High is bringing back to us. You see how that's working? They are the last line of defense. These people who look like us, they're the last line of defense to keep us from getting more knowledge, understanding, and returning back to our Father. It's all been about roadblocks and setting us up from, keeping us away from our Father. So these Odes of Solomon is on point. There is so much information in the Odes of Solomon. You think the man that was, touted as the, smartest and most intelligent man ever only wrote a couple of books that they have in the Bible? You see, so that's when someone says, everything that I have to read has to come out of the Bible or has to be substantiated with the Bible. They're not going to put this information in there because they don't want you to look for it. If you actually knew, if you actually has the Old Testament pseudepigrapha, it's 2 volumes, and each of them is bigger than the Bible. Each volume has more stories than what's in the Bible. So that's a wealth of information that we're not getting. Because, because it says pseudepigrapha on the cover. So therefore, I'm not going to read any of this information. So now you're going to easily see the roadblocks that have been set up for our people. Next, this is right here is how they set up. It's funny because people are talking about how, and Paul, it talks about how they're going to set up, bring another Jesus. And they try to make it sound like it's us at the end that are bringing another Jesus or another Yahushai. No, that was already brought a long time ago with the Greeks and the Romans. And that other Jesus is so pervasive today. We're trying to go back to our original power, to the son of our original power, to the one that was here. That's the one we're trying to get back to. But these roadblocks are trying to keep us away from that. These roadblocks are setting up to make you think that this book here is not yours. And this book here is not talking about you. Oh, because they say it's tainted. Uh-oh. What's going on here? I guess they don't want me talking about this one, huh? Let's go back there again. Okay. Here we go. But this is our book right here. Next, let's get into the Psalms of Solomon. Making us drunk. Okay. We'll start right here. Because of our sin right here. All right. This is the sin of Israel. Talking about this right here. You can read that on your own. But because of our sin, this is what happened. Because of this, the Most High mixed them a drink. That's for us. Of a wavering spirit. And he gave them a cup of undiluted wine to make them drunk. So he's taken away our knowledge and understanding. And how's he doing this? He brought someone from the far end of the earth, one who attacks in strength. He declared war against Jerusalem and her land. The leaders of the country met him with joy. They said to him, "May your way be blessed. Come, enter in peace." They graded the rough roads before his coming. They opened the gates of Jerusalem. They crowned their city walls. He entered in peace as a father enters his son's house. He set his feet securely. Then he captured the fortified towers of the wall of Jerusalem. For the Most High led him in securely while they wavered. He killed their leaders and every man wise in counsel. He poured out the blood of the inhabitants of Jerusalem. like dirty water. He led away their sons and daughters, those profanely spawned. This happened twice. This happened with the southern kingdom, and this happened again over here with the northern kingdom. If you go back to my video talking about the feet, the legs of iron, and then the feet of iron mixed with clay, that shows you that it happened twice. They did exactly the same thing. Because of our sin, the Most High gave us this drink, which makes us drunk. And if you look right here, Isaiah 51, we're going to read that in a little bit. It talks about what's happening right here. And he brought someone from the end of the earth, from a long distance away. If you go back to the book of More, it talks about how he brought Columbus over the waters, over the ocean, to the fourth part that they were not allowed to come to. So he brought them from one end of the earth to the other. Rome over to Jerusalem over there is not the end of the earth. It's not that long of a distance. This is referring to the second one. So the second destruction, the destruction of the northern kingdom. He's brought someone from the end of the earth, one who attacks in strength. Who is that? The Romans. He used the Romans to destroy the southern kingdom, and he used the Romans to destroy the northern kingdom. But again, you're going to say these books aren't good because why? Oh, it says pseudo on the front, which means fake. But this is giving you all this information. When they got here, did our people not embrace them? It says the leaders of the country met him with joy. Our people, you start getting into that Florentine Codex. Go back to those books. It talks about how they opened their doors for them and they brought them in. In Cholula, they opened the doors for them. They came in and then they called all the leaders together and they locked all the doors and they murdered and destroyed all the people. When they went into Tenochtitlan, they walked right in and then they took Moctezuma and then they ended up stealing and destroying the city. That's what this is talking about right here. They just walked in. This is stuff that was talked about in the Psalms of Solomon. And this is exactly what happened over here. Again, I think that's huge. You want to look at that again. He brought someone from the end of the earth, one who attacks in strength. He declared war against Jerusalem and her land. The leaders of the country met him with joy. Our people met them with joy. They said to him, "May your way be blessed. Come, enter in peace." They graded the rough roads before his coming. So they just, threw flowers down, threw petals down, welcomed the Spaniards with open arms. They opened the gates of Jerusalem. They crowned her city walls. He entered in peace as a father enters in his son's house. And he enters so many cities of our people in peace. And then they slaughtered our people. It says he set his feet securely. He captured the fortified towers of the wall of Jerusalem. For the Most High led him in securely while they wavered. He killed their leaders and every man wise in counsel. He poured out the blood of the inhabitants of Jerusalem like dirty water. Did exactly the same thing over here. Did it over there. Did it over here. Nothing new. But you're going to tell me that Psalms of Solomon isn't good because that's not mentioned in the Bible, and Odes of Solomon isn't good because that's not mentioned in the Bible. You see? Agendas. Someone's playing the last line of defense. I think it's going to be really abundantly clear who's working with the Most High and who's working for the priest of Mahan. We were robbed of our name, robbed of our language. We lost our religion or our belief systems, our culture, and our power. And who does the Most High use? Someone from far away. It's all fitting. It's all fitting to prophecies. Isaiah 51, 21. Therefore, hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. They're not afflicted. They're not drunk with wine. They're drunk with having no knowledge and understanding. The Most High took away our knowledge and our understanding. They manipulated our books. They killed all of the people who had any knowledge. That's what I talked about there in Songs of Solomon, how they killed the people who had any kind of knowledge. Just like in slavery, they would kill the older people, the people who had the knowledge of our past, so that could not be handed down to the people. Nothing new. Thus saith the Most High, okay, the Lord and thy God, that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, Bow down, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground, and as the street to them that went over. He's taking the knowledge, understanding, okay, away from the Gentiles. He's taking that knowledge, understanding away from our own people who have sided with the Gentiles. He's taking that cup away from us that made us drunk and took away our knowledge and understanding, and he's given it to the Gentiles and our other people who are joined to them. And now they're losing their understanding. They're losing their knowledge. And if you go back into the sealed Book of Mormon, what does it say? The people who do not accept these other books are going to have the information and the knowledge that they did have of the first book of the Bible taken away from them. That's what's being referenced right here. What little information, understanding you did have with the Bible is going to be taken away from you because you are now going to reject these other books. If you're going to reject this other information, he's going to take the dregs away from us and give it to you, along with the Gentiles that you have made a covenant with. He's going to give it to the priests of Mahan and all of the people that are aligned with them. That's where this line is being drawn now. Their last line of defense is now not able to defeat this information that the Most High is bringing out. They're not able to stem the tide that is now, coming like a tsunami and bringing this knowledge and understanding. The time of them to being able to just ignore this information is quickly coming to an end. But then when they try to discredit it, their reasoning is very, very weak. That's all part of prophecy. Check this out right now. Psalms 50. We're going to read 16 through 21. There's so much more information in here once you have the understanding of the priest of Mahan and what they've done. But unto the wicked the Most High saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee. See, the wicked, it's right here, the wicked have taken the Most High's words, have taken his writings, and they have manipulated it. They have taken words out, and they have thrown things away and hidden so much information. So he's like, why do you guys take my words? Why are you taking my books? This has nothing to do with you. Why are you manipulating the information? Listen to that again. But unto the wicked, the Most High saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? The covenant wasn't for them. The words weren't for them. Seest thou hatest instruction? They hate the word, and castest my words behind thee. They took the word and they manipulated it, and they shredded it, and took out the parts they didn't want, and threw them away. When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentedest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. Okay? Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. This is talking about not just the Gentiles, but also our people who have made a covenant with them. I'm talking about other Gentiles who have decided to join with the priests of Mahan, but it's also talking about our own people who have done this as well. Look at it again. When thou sawest a thief, when thou sawest a thief, then thou consentedest with him. So our people were looking at the thief. Just like think about the Maccabees, in First Maccabees, when many of our people went and made a covenant with the Greeks because they were struggling and they were suffering. They went and made a covenant with the Greeks or the thieves. So right there, when thou sawest a thief, then thou consentedest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. So they went with them, and they've been partaking with these adulterers. They've been partaking with these Gentiles who have been doing all these evil and abominable things. So it's not just Gentiles, there's many of our own people who are doing the same thing. Thou givest thy mouth to evil. So just because someone that looks like you doesn't mean they're going to tell you the truth. Doesn't mean that they're for you. Because there's many of our people who went and made a covenant with the other nations. And they can't break that covenant. So now, what does it say in 19? Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. These ones that are coming out and being deceitful and telling you you can't read this, you can't study that. Those aren't our books. Those books have been tainted. Well, I can say all the same things with the Bible. Well, no, the Bible is pure. The Bible is perfect. That's framing deceit because we know that the Bible has been tampered with. Check this part out. 20. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. Now, we know that the seed goes through the man. So why would we be talking about the mother? Because we're talking about two kids that have two different fathers. We're talking about the seed of Cain, and we're talking about the seed of Seth. So you got that right there. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. They are slandering the true priesthood because they wanted the priesthood for themselves. They took it and then they slandered the true priests of the Most High. Same mother, different fathers. We know that Cain's father was the devil. That's why you read in John 8, it talks about doing the will of your father, the devil, and lying and cheating, because that's what they do, because that's who their father is. That's why in 20 it says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. Now we are at 21. They've been slandering us this entire time. But now we are at verse 21. And now we're on that last line of defense. Now the lines are being drawn because they can't sit idly by and watch what's happening anymore. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. The Most High let them do their things because it was our time to go through our punishment. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself. They thought that the Most High was Caesarea. They thought the Most High was with the the priests of Mahan. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. We are now being set in order before their eyes, and they can't believe it. And it's the worst thing that could ever happen to them. Seeing after all the different ways they've gone to keep our knowledge and understanding away from us, that even with that, we're now being restored. And the last line of defense is breaking. It's springing leaks all over the place. I'm going to read a couple things here real quick. Talks about right here, this is what's going on right now. This is that line drawn in the sand. Talks about how fools believe everything is in one book. So now, excuse me, we're going to have to decide. People have to decide who they're going to side with. Let's read this real quick. 2 Nephi 29, 7 through 14. Know ye not that there are more nations than one? Know ye not that I, the Most High, your power, have created all men, and that I remember those who are upon the isles of the sea, and that I rule in the heavens, above, and in the earth beneath, and I bring forth my word unto the children of men, yea, even upon all the nations of the earth. Wherefore murmur ye, because that ye shall receive more of my word. Know ye not that the testimony of two nations is a witness unto you that I am the Most High, that I remember one nation like unto another. Wherefore I speak the same words unto one nation like unto another. And when the two nations shall run together, the testimony of the two nations shall run together also. And I do this, that I may prove unto many that I am the same yesterday, today, and forever, and that I speak forth my words according to mine own pleasure. And because that I have spoken one word, ye need not suppose that I cannot speak another. For my work is not yet finished, neither shall it be until the end of man, neither from that time henceforth and forever. Wherefore, because that ye have a Bible, ye need not suppose that it contains all my words. Neither need ye suppose that I have not caused more to be written. There's that line right there. Either you're going to be with the ones who say that all we have is the Bible and we don't need anything else, or you're going to follow the Most High wherever he leads you. 11. For I command all men, both in the east and in the west, and in the north and in the south, and in the islands of the sea, that they shall write the words which I speak unto them. For out of the books which shall be written I will judge the world, every man according to their works, according to that which is written. For behold, I shall speak unto the Jews, and they shall write it. And I shall also speak unto the Nephites, and they shall write it. And I shall also speak unto the other tribes of the house of Israel, which I have led away, and they shall write it. And I shall also speak unto all the nations of the earth, and they shall write it. And it shall come to pass that the Jews shall have the words of the Nephites, and the Nephites shall have the words of the Jews, and the Nephites and the Jews shall have the words of the lost tribes of Israel, and the lost tribes of Israel shall have the words of the Nephites and the Jews. Okay, hold on real fast. So you're starting to see right here the Most High is doing. He's showing you there's going to be words, there's going to be information all over the place. It's not just going to be in one spot. You see, that's how the devil works. He tells you that, hey, I got it all. It's all right here. But we know that's not true. I'm going to finish up with 14. And it shall come to pass that my people, which are the house of Israel, shall be gathered home unto the lands of their possessions, and my word also shall be gathered in one. And I will show unto them that fight against my word and against my people, who are of the house of Israel, that I am the Most High, and that I have covenanted with Abraham, that I would remember his seed forever. And that part got cut off, but you can look it up. So this is what it's showing there right now. And I will show unto them that fight against my word and against my people, who are of the house of Israel, that I am the Most High, and that I am covenanted with Abraham. Okay, and that I have covenanted with Abraham, and that I would remember his seed. So he's going to show the people who are fighting against this word. He's showing that he's going to make known that he's the power of the people that he made a covenant with, the seeds of Abraham. So all these people who are coming against the Book of Mormon, they're coming against all these other books. We're talking about how the Book of Mormon is tainted, but the Bible is not. The Most High is about to move. And we had to make sure that we have shown this information to the people. Because like he says, and I will show unto them that fight against my word and against my people, who are of the house of Israel, that I am the Most High. The seeds of Cain have been fighting against the word by hiding the books. They've been fighting against the Most High and his word by hiding information, by keeping us from reading. That has been their whole lot. That's why they made the covenant with Cain and Satan, to fight against the word. And that's why we're now at this crossroads right now. We're at the fork in the road. Again, I'm going to read that last part of 14. And I will show unto them that fight against my word and against my people, who are of the house of Israel, that I am the Most High, and that I covenanted with Abraham, that I would remember his seed forever. That's where we're at now. So it doesn't matter if you look like us, anything else. What matters now is that, are you pushing the Most High's word? And all of his word is not in one book. That's what's going on right now. And this is what's going on right now. Last thing, he's making battle lines. He's saying who's on the side of the Most High and who's on the side of the priests of Mahan. And what's going to happen now is we're going to wait and see who is correct. The people who are reading the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the sealed Book of Mormon, these other books, bringing knowledge and understanding to the people. If the Most High is with us, or if the Most High is with the priesthood of Mahan, who says everything is in one book and don't look anywhere else, and don't read anything else, and don't listen to what those guys have to say. As I said in my last video, please be my guest. Listen to everything they have to say. Listen to what the other people have to say, and then go where your spirit leads you. I don't have to hide the adversary or the counter argument. Please go listen to them, and then wherever your spirit leads you, go that way. Because this is where we're at now. Jacob 5:64. Wherefore dig about them and prune them and dung them once more. That's what's happening right now with his people. He's giving us life again. He's bringing us back to life. For that last time, that's where we're at right now. For the end draweth nigh. And if it be so that these last grafts shall grow and bring forth the natural fruit, then shall ye prepare the way for them, that they may grow. And that's exactly what is happening. The Most High has revived us, has given us life again, and now we are growing. And the other nations see us growing, and they know what's about to happen, because as we grow, what's going to happen to the other people who are not bearing good fruit? Look at 65. And as they begin to grow, ye shall clear away the branches which bring forth bitter fruit. That's what's about to happen. The Father's about to clear away the branches that's bringing forth bitter fruit. So they got their last stance. They got their last barricade. They can't say anything themselves anymore because we're not listening to the Gentiles anymore. Their last stance is someone that looks like us, but pushing the same doctrine that they've pushed the whole time. So if you just use someone that looks like us that tells me not to read anything, not to look at any books, is that any different than a Gentile telling me the same thing? Absolutely not. But they think that we're just that simple, that if somebody looks like me says it, then I'll listen. Same playbook. Don't read. Don't look. We got it all for you. If you need any help, with that scripture, I'll break it down for you. I'll give you the true understanding. Don't listen to the other people. They're unlearned. They're unskilled. Listen to me. See, that's exactly the same thing that happened when Yahushua was here. And he picked his 12, right? He picked the 12, his 12 disciples. Or did he pick them out of the best colleges? Did he pick them out of the best schools? Did he pick them because they had been serving in the ministry for such a long time? No. He picked them. Why? Because those were the people he chose. That's the only thing that's their only criteria. That was all it was. It wasn't because they did anything or they came with, great statistics and they looked the part. No, that's not what he did. He picked them because that's who he wanted to pick. And he's doing exactly the same thing today. So just because people have been doing this for years and sound like they, really have the great, the great information, they've been in it for a long time. They have all the experience. That's not who Yahushua picked when he came the first time. So as he gets ready to come the second time, why do you think he would pick? It's not going to be any different. He's going to pick the ones that you least expect. So again, Jacob 5:63, graft in the branches, begin at the last, that they may be first, and that the first may be last, and dig about the trees, both old and young, the first and the last and the first, that they all may be nourished once again for the last time. And that's what was happening. We're being nourished for the last time. We're taken out of our drunkenness, and he's taken that drink that made us drunk away from us. Wherefore dig about them and prune them and dung them once more. For the last time, for the end draweth nigh. And if it be so that these last grafts shall grow and bring forth the natural fruit. That's what we're doing right now, bringing forth that natural fruit, bringing forth that knowledge and understanding to our people, bringing forth the records of the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom together in order to get the understanding from the beginning to the end. Then shall ye prepare the way for them, that they may grow. So now he's about to prepare the way so that we can really start to grow. And how's he going to do that? And as they begin to grow, ye shall clear away the branches which bring forth bitter fruit. I don't think we can make it any simpler than this. The battle lines have been drawn. Now you choose. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, Who was the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.